today. This one is called the Diagrams book. It contains 100 diagrams which might be helpful in approaching and solving different problems in real life. I found four that I would particularly like to share. The first one, this is called the essentialist diagram. You might be able to figure out what it's getting at just by looking at the two diagrams. So what this is about is, this represents someone who is constantly going around in circles, doing different things, without a unified purpose or goal. And so when somebody lives like this, where they don't have one purpose or one goal, one aim they're trying to achieve, and they see all of the different things that come their way, all of the other tasks, as either synergistic or irrelevant to achieving a particular goal. And what the essentialist does is they take out all of the noise, they take out all of the things that are not in harmony, are not aligned to them achieving their goal. So what this is suggesting is that if someone is chasing their tail, they're not going to get very far. They're not going to achieve very much in life because they're going in different directions. And so the net result is that they remain where they are. They don't progress. Whereas someone who is constantly working towards a goal and taking out all of the stuff which is not helpful in achieving that goal, they can make great progress. Another diagram which is related to this one, which I really liked, this is called the 1% better curve, and it's self-explanatory really, but sometimes we forget that little improvements, little upgrades accumulating over a period of time really add up and compound. So we can get kind of frustrated if we're not making progress. I kind of relate this to my piano playing. So when I start a new piece, if it's a Chopin piece, it's quite difficult. You can get frustrated because you don't feel like you're making much progress, but you have to persevere because you will see progress. It just takes time. And if you achieve 1% improvement every day, after 2 or 3 weeks, you really are going to, if you were to take a recording on day 1 and a recording on day 14 and compare the two, you might be surprised. You might not notice if it's just a 1% improvement, but compounding means that those little improvements over a period of time really make a huge difference, and that's what this particular diagram is all about. Another diagram which again is about productivity, how we can improve our productivity and achieve our goals. This is called the barcode day, and just take a look at that and see if you can figure out what this is getting at. So what this is suggesting is that many people, their daily lives, their working day is similar to a barcode in that they have productive periods and then they get disturbed. Somebody interrupts them and they lose their focus. And it suggests in the text that it can take between 15 and 20 minutes to regain your focus and your attention. And in order to produce high quality work, some studies have shown that multitasking is a bit of a myth. It doesn't work. And the idea with this is that when trying to complete a task, particularly if it's difficult and requires arduous work, thinking, it's best to get rid of all of the distractions, the phone, the TV, the radio, noise in your surroundings, anything which is going to interrupt your flow, your productivity is a hindrance and is probably an underestimated obstacle in achieving much greater progress. So this is quite an interesting one as well. As you can hopefully see with the 3 diagrams I've presented, having them in a simple diagram is really helpful because you can visualize these diagrams quite easily. There's an interesting there's an interesting point at the start of this book which says that, we only retain about 10% of what we read, and reading is actually one of the worst ways to learn. Incidentally, actually doing something and taking action is the best way we learn, by actually physically doing something rather than just reading a book. So having these diagrams in your head when you're thinking about your work life or your plan for the day, how you're going to try to complete 5 or 6 tasks that might be quite important and need to be done. Having these little pictures in your head about how you can organise your day and just plan it so that your productivity is optimal and the quality of the outcome is the best that it can be. So I really liked that one. I will show you another one which I thought was quite good. This one, once again, is about a similar topic. This one is about work-life balance. Now, this one took me by surprise a little bit when reading it because I always, well, not always, but to a large degree, thought that it's a good idea to kind of separate one's life, one's private life from their work life. And I think this is true for different jobs, different occupations require greater separation. People need their own space to detach from the stress and of the work environment in order to relax and to have their own personal space. But this gave me a new way to think about a slightly different approach, and that is, I use the word reconciliation, to reconcile, and optimally, if your job, if your work life is in harmony, if it's reconciled with your personality or your true nature, your interests, your talents, what you enjoy doing, what gets you up with energy in the morning, that's going to be ideal, because that's going to mean the quality of your work is a lot better and you'll be happier as a result because you'll love your work. Warren Buffett has said in many interviews how much he enjoys his job, investing. He is the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway, and he said that he tap dances to work. He loves it so much he can't wait to get in the office, start reading those financial reports, find out all of the latest information regarding markets, and he clearly loves his job, and you can see it all over his face when he talks in interviews. Somebody else who spoke about this was a football manager. Now I think he's retired, Harry Redknapp. He was giving a talk a few years ago, and he was saying about how much he loved his job, and every morning was just a joy. He used to get up, go to the football ground, the training ground, and he just loved being around the game, and that just made him so happy. And many other professions as well. And one thinks about people like Bill Gates, Elon Musk, the CEO of Apple, Steve Jobs. They really started companies and were the heads of companies that really they led, and they started those companies, so they're very much reconciled with their work. The book suggests that people who are not doing a job which is in harmony with their interests, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this one out, they're going to be much less happy as a result. So finding a job that you enjoy clearly is going to be of great benefit. And I really like the way, once again, the simple diagram lays this out and is food for further thoughts. You don't have to agree with this book necessarily. You can disagree and think, well, actually, in my own private life, in my own circumstances, separation is quite important, because I like getting away from the workplace and I like doing completely different activities where I don't have to think about, stress of what goes on in my particular job. But just helps to think about things in different ways. There were a few others in the book which I thought were pretty good. This one is called The Win-Win Matrix, and this is about relationships and how if one is courageous and considerate of others, win-win relationships can be built. Win-win relationships being where you benefit and the other person benefits and the company or workplace as a whole benefits, and you get much more out of work than you otherwise would. You can see there the loose win either side if there's an unhealthy dynamic with regards to relationships where one person feels like they're winning and the other person feels like they're losing. Overall, the net result is they don't get as much out of a relationship as they could if they were both benefiting. So I thought that was quite good, and it's interesting how they use the word courage in this, and what they talk about as well as resilience. So people that say what they want and make it clear what their aims are, and they don't accept just taking on work for the sake of it, or they don't just agree to everything. So the idea with courage in this diagram is people stand up for themselves and they say, well, actually, I think it would be better if it's done this way. I think perhaps the workload could be shared a little bit more. I'm happy to do this, but I'm not so happy to do that. When people do that, win-win situations are possibly created, because then compromises can be made, agreements can be made, and you both feel like the other person has taken on board what you've said, and you can both move forward in a progressive way and are both happier and more productive as a result. So I thought this was quite a good one as well. And there was one more which kind of stood out. A very simple diagram. This one's called The Growing Pain. The Growing Pain resembles a window, and it's got good and bad and old and new. And it's a simple diagram where you take old ideas or old habits, old ways of doing things. If they're good, that is to say, if they are synergistic with your goal or one of your goals, then it would be worth keeping. Keep that particular habit or way of doing something, because it might be old but it's still good. If it's new, fantastic, that's great. Keep doing it. Reflect on it, see what you can learn from it, and see what you can do to improve it. If it's old and bad, that's considered the kind of worst area on the table. It's suggesting that just get rid of old, bad habits. And again, that's quite common sense. But having it represented in this diagram simplifies it. And once again, it's a handy visual for when you're possibly considering, for example, what to throw out. You might be tidying your house, or you're thinking about your relationships. Are your relationships good? Are they healthy? Are they in harmony with your goals? Are they mutually beneficial? Are they reciprocal? there are all sorts of ways where this becomes relevant and useful. So I thought I would just share those diagrams with you. This is an excellent book. I would definitely consider going to Amazon and picking up yourself a copy. I bought this one in WH Smith. I just came across it in the shop. But it's been a great read, and it's not too difficult to read as well. It doesn't require too much mental energy because it's not particularly heavy. And being a diagrams book, you can read this on the train. You could read this, just before going to sleep. It's not too taxing, but might enable you then to go on and research further what precisely is being said. The author talks about where he got these diagrams from, and he's quoted a number of books, so you could go and check out those books where these diagrams originate. So it's a good book, and I'd say it's particularly helpful for anyone who is thinking about self-improvement, thinking about how they can live more efficient, productive, happier lives. Thanks for watching.